Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're live again. I mean, the system was acting up and just threw us out of the stream, and now we're back. We're back and live again. So, like I said, if you're joining the conversation, please make sure you click and sign and invite one another to join us on this another special edition. Yes, it is still acting, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna keep it on that. We're gonna keep it on that. I don't know. Just like someone saying, the witches of Africa are always alive. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what's happening, but we are connected. We are live, and yes, the topic today is an interesting one. It's an exciting one. It's full of a lot of yeah conversations, and I know you're going to support a lot and contribute to making this conversation a very interactive one. But let us start today by congratulating and wishing a happy birthday to Honorable Patrice Emire Lumumba, who actually should have been celebrating his birthday today, but left us very long ago. And happy birthday to all the fans of Pan-African out there, and particularly to Patrice Emire Lumumba. You know, he has a reincarnation right now. But on the other hand, we have to celebrate them. We celebrate our ancestors. We celebrate our leaders, no matter if they are gone to meet our ancestors above. Yes. So today, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a very interesting conversation with Sir Clyde Dr. Rivers live in the studio for the second time here. And our topic is going to be the need for the diaspora, particularly African descent. We're talking about the African Americans, the African Europeans, those in the Caribbean, in the Pacific, the need for them to connect to their roots, and that is Africa. And Sir Clyde, Dr. Rivers, is here to remind us of the fact and the challenges that they've been going through in the past, why up till now this disconnection has been existing, and the reason why we are at the right time now to connect and back to our ancestors, back to our roots, to carry on this conversation. So good evening to you, Sir Clyde.
Thank you, Susan. Good to be here. Susan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me now?
Correct. Yes, I hear you. It's just I don't know what is interrupting with the connection of today. Yeah, but I can hear you live and good. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. And I think it's important that we have this actual conversation. Is so very important now. What's going on in the world? In the world, I see God fixing issues that have been broken for years. And what's happened, Susan, is people have kept the African American and the African separate in our education. So we know nothing really about each other except for what the media narratives have told us. So now it's time for us to educate each other about each other.
Okay, I've just been informed that that you came here with a backup, Sir Clyde, and that we have a Professor Akama joining you live in the studio today. So did you come up with a backup today on this topic?
Yes, Professor Akama, yes.
Okay, that's great. Professor Akama, we're welcoming you on this show tonight, and thank you for joining us on this topic, the need for the diaspora, particularly people of African descent, to connect to their roots, and we're saying that the time is now. And Sir Clyde Rivers, who is a prominent in a Civility and I Change founder and leader, has been educating us on this topic, and this is the second time that he is here. But today he's bringing another backup on the continent. What is going to happen to us here in the studio tonight, ladies and gentlemen? I have no clue. But let me give up the conversation over to Sir Clyde before we come over to you, Professor Akama. And Sir Clyde, what is going on?
You know, I think it's a day where injustice has to meet God's justice. And around the world, people, black people in this world have been looked at as a different class of people. And it's called institutional systemic racism. In my country, America, right now, the African American has dealt for the entire time of being here. We've dealt with systemic racism and injustice, and now God is putting His finger, and institutions are changing because God's not going to watch a people that love Him ever be destroyed forever. So I'm excited about these times.
Correct. Professor Akama, good evening.
Good evening to you, Susan.
Wow, it's incredible having you on the show spontaneously to join Sir Clyde Rivers on the show. How are you doing, Professor?
I'm doing fine, and I thank you for inviting me to be in the show with my mentor, Dr. Rivers.
Okay, you're joining it from Uganda. How is Uganda doing today? What is the situation out there regarding the pandemic? Is it opening up? Is life becoming back to normal? Are schools going back? Or what is the situation currently going on there on the continent of Uganda?
I'm coming to you from Nairobi, but I'm briefly to what's happening in the region. That COVID-19 has disrupted the way we do our things, and now we are trying to see how we are going to have the new normals. Like Nairobi, the numbers of COVID-19 are keeping on increasing, but on Monday, on 6th, the president will be addressing the nation, and we are looking forward for him to reopen the economy, because now we have to live with COVID-19. It has not to stop our life.
Okay, thank you very much. You said you're joining your mentor on the program today. What is that supposed to indicate?
What he pursues, what he stands for, the way he looks at the perspective of humanity. He has trained me to see good in others, and even by the topic he has said that, they say that if you mistreat God's people, you have got a date with Him. And whatever is happening throughout the world, and I have been persuaded not to say that the Black lives matters, but I'm persuaded to say human life matters. And it is high time that the continent of Africa, wherever you are living, whether you are living in the United States of America, Europe, Asia, it is us to build Africa. And the time has come for us to say, please give us time to breathe.
Okay.
We have to move the...
Go ahead.
What we are trying to say that humanity is one. If you go to an hospital and you need blood transfusion, when the blood comes, you cannot ask whether it is for a brown man, a white man, or a black man. What you know you need is to be saved, and that is humanity. Humanity is one, because my sister and my mentor, that we are created in the image of God and His likeness. And we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Why should one come out to mistreat other people? The black people throughout history, we have never mistreated anybody. We have never abused anybody. We have never used human beings as cheap labor. But time has come for us to be on the show and tell the world that Africans are human beings. We were all created by the image of God, and we want to be one. That is my position.
Thank you very much. I mean, that's an incredible position, and it comes up to the same topic that we're going to be hearing this session particularly from Dr. Sir Clyde. We're going to give you the floor and even the audience. It means all of us are going to disappear from the screen. You're going to be managing this conversation for today to mentor to us what has been the reason why African people of descent have been lukewarm on the continent? What have been the challenges they've been going through? Why is it that until COVID would shut down the world and the death of George Floyd and many Americans is yet now being a point of discussion on the world politics and on the world, and particularly on the continent? Why has it been so silent that things have been going out around the world and Black people have never been connected to the continent? And now, Sir Clyde Rivers, you're coming to say we have never had a common agenda. Africa has never been seen as humans. They have never been seen as God's creation. They have never been seen as the continent of humanity, where all sort of humans and nature emanated from. And so you're here to tell our brothers out there, this is the time to connect back to your origins, because until Africa is strong, no life, no Black life would matter. So we're giving you the audience and the podium and the stage and the studio alone for you to mentor to us all this. You have approximately 40 minutes into this conversation, or 35 minutes. Over to you, Dr. Sir Rivers.
Thank you. What I want to say is this: is we have to relook at everything. We have to look at this. Africa is the most prosperous continent in the world. How do we connect back together? And as we connect back as the African American, Afro Caribbean, as we connect back home, what are we connecting for, and how do we create impact? You see, one of the first questions I always ask is, I say, first of all, why are the good minds and the good brains leaving Africa to go to the Western world? Why? That's one of the first questions we have to ask. Why? So basically, the actual scholarship of the Western world has been one of the greatest weapons that the West has, because what the West does is it gets the best minds, gives them scholarships. When they come to Western culture, they're talked out of their history and into a new ideology. So my question is, how do we keep the best minds of Africa home? How do we build? And what it comes down to, and we have to address the elephant in the room, we have to address institutions. The institutions have to be stronger in Africa. The institutions have to be stronger and more stable, so that the continent can keep the best people home. If I go to the hospital in America now, I find African doctors. I find many of the top doctors they're Africans, but they're in the West. Why? We have to rethink the whole game. It's one thing for us to come back home and connect, but where do we go from there? Where do we go after we connect? We have to have economic empowerment. We have to create a machine of empowerment. We have to make sure that as we come back, we have economy. Because let me tell you this, what changes everything in the world is when you affect people's dollars. When you affect how much money they're making, that's when change takes place. So for Africa right now, the most prosperous continent with the resources and the minerals underground and the smartest brains on top, how do we build the continent of Africa? Let me tell you one thing that I think needs to happen yesterday. No one in the world knows who are the great leaders in Africa. No one knows. No one knows who the only person that people know in the West that's in the mind of the West that's a good mind would be Desmond Tutu. After Desmond Tutu, no one knows anyone else. What does that tell me? We have to rebrand Africa. We have to, and it's what I'm doing with I Change Nations. We've established the world's largest culture of honor. We have to show the world who our heroes are in Africa and what they've done. No, I'm not talking about just history. I'm talking about the modern day heroes. We have to hear this. Never expect your enemy to actually brand you in a correct way. So we have to rebrand Africa. We have to be the ones that are saying, hey, we have this. This is good. This is good. This is good about our continent. This is an educator that created this. This is a person that has built this. So we have to open the eyes of the world to the new African heroes. And this is why I'm telling you, when I established I Change Nations, the world's largest culture of honor, we have found good people on the continent of Africa that the whole world needs to know and recognize and understand. And people, it's not going to be an overnight process. And also, there has to be institutions in Africa that are strong enough to keep the good minds on the continent. And see, now it's time for us to really connect again because we're all in the exact same boat. The one thing I love as I come into Africa, I see black people from the president and every institution. I'm like, man, and I see people working together as a continent with all of the resources that Africa has. The whole world, the entire world will need Africa. So this is why we have to fix our issues. And here it is, we have to educate each other to ourselves. We can't let them divide us, systems separate us from Africa. And this is what I've seen. When I was in college, I'll never forget the first day that we had an African student. I was sitting with a group of African American athletes, and they go, "Oh, that's an African." And I'm like, wait, guys, this guy's us. And they said, no, those guys are different. So what's happened? There's been a divided vocabulary among us. So here it is. We have to have intra dialogue with each other so we can reconnect our the powerful unit that we're supposed to be for this world. Because watch this, when you have all the resources, when you have donated minerals and resources around the world for pennies on the dollar, wow, we have the Africa's the wealthiest continent, and it's given its minerals and resources away for pennies on the dollar. We can no longer do that. We have to unify, we have to unite, and we have to understand each other, and we have to put our best foot forward and think about economy. Think about what is the economy. So, what am I saying here? We have to ask, first of all, why are the smartest minds in Africa educated elsewhere? Okay, we have to ask that question. So what does that mean to me? We have to create education institutions, and we have to create a job market and an economy that will pay the quality people what they're worth. We also have to think about how to give those people benefits and systems, because when they come to the West, they make top dollar, they get excellent benefits and safety and security as well as can be said. So people leave because of economics. That's why people are leaving the continent of Africa, because they believe there's better opportunities. So if we're going to look at this really straight, we have to address the issues really straight. So great people. We're not going to change this overnight, but we have to think in terms of how do we build the institutions that make people want to stay on the continent of Africa? How do we build institutions where the actual brain gain of Africa is actually bettering Africa? And now we need to be able to connect back home to the continent of Africa. We need to come and say, hey, let us sit down and let's talk. And hear this, people. We're not going to blame each other for what's happened to us, but what we can do, we can sit and learn from each other. Man, I mean, we can dialogue, man, we can build the smartest economies in the world, and we have to begin to honor Africa. Let me tell you, man, just as an American, man, some of you may say, well, he's an African American. He doesn't understand Africa. Let me tell you, people, I've been to Africa so much. I don't claim to know everything about Africa because I don't. But let me tell you what happens. Many times people in in diaspora paint the wrong picture of Africa to get money. I'm being very candid with you. Many missionaries are painting the wrong picture of Africa. I go, guys, do not send the pictures of babies that have flies. Send the pictures of the great cities. Send those. So teams that come in with me to Africa, I won't let them take those pictures. I'm saying
Correct.
there's another side of Africa, but hear this. We have to address the issue of the African painting the wrong picture of Africa to the West because they
Correct.
think the West is going to give them money. So hear this. When you have me on your show, I'm going to come with the facts that we need to address and deal with, because many times the issues that we see in Africa are given by a narrative set by the Africans in diaspora. I'm like, no, do not say that around me. No, Africa is a blessed continent. No, I'm not. No, the poverty sells. But hear this, we got to stop selling the poverty of Africa, and we got to sell the goodness of Africa. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, please, people, I'm being really transparent because I've been in meetings where I've had to correct people. I go, no, that's not the Africa I go to. Now, am I blame shifting? Absolutely not. Do we have to have dialogue and talk about this stuff? Absolutely, because we have to be a unified front on the continent of Africa. And also, we have to promote African heroes. We have to let this world know that PLO Melamumba is a phenomenal leader. He is a great man, and he needs to be, the world needs to understand who he is. So we have to catch this thing at a whole nother level now and raise the bar. And hear this, nobody will do it but us. If not us, then who? If not when, then it needs to be done now. So we got to do it now, and it's up to us. So this is why with I Change Nations, I'm looking to honor the top people in Africa so that the African youth understand who's great on the continent. And hear this, I love the history of Africa, the great leaders that helped build the continent, that actually liberated. But people, we have modern day heroes. Susan Tata is a modern day hero to me. Why? Because she's putting together a show like this to where the world can be educated about Africa. And you know what, people? And it's up to us. We have to paint the right picture of Africa, and we have to honor the continent. We are not a continent divided. We are people all over the world. Our roots are based in Africa, and we're in other places. And this is what I'm saying. It's time for us to connect in and say, what's the way forward? It's one thing I've been hearing for the last 20 years, it's Africa time. I'm like, okay, it's Africa time. What's our strategy? What's the strategy? Man, guys, hear this. We can man, every day shout different slogans. It's Africa time. Yes. What's the narrative, and how do we progress forward to where Africa mines its own gold? And I'm telling you, I'm so excited about this show here, because this show allows the real conversations to take place. And again, I'm sharing with you my experiences, and I can tell you, Africa is one of the greatest continents in the world, the beauty, the people, and it's really untouched. So we have to organize ourselves now. When I say organize, we can't just come home and have a party. What's the strategy forward? What are our resources? What's the value? How do we market these things to the world? And how do we create intra faith, intra Africa business development, where different countries are working with other countries? So we have to create these things. Yes, it's going to be a lot of work, but hear this: we can do it because we are our brother's keeper, and we have to make sure that around the whole world, black skin is valued. Black skin is not less than. This is why I believe God is dealing with the injustice that's taking place against the actual black race in the world. I believe
Okay.
God is speaking now, and he's saying, you can't touch my property anymore. But it's up for us. It's our job to keep ourselves at the right place. So people, I'm excited for this day, and we need to paint another picture of Africa. You need to get on your smartphones and start to post the nice things in Africa. We have to start to actually rebrand the continent. We have to make it a continent where people can actually Google and see and see the right pictures, and not just a picture of an African baby with actually flies. No,
Mhm.
those are the pictures that we've seen all over the world. Because of this reason, we have not controlled the media. We have not controlled the media narrative that comes regarding Africa. We should start news networks, international news networks that tell African news, and actually show the actual beauty of the continent, because the one that controls the media narrative dictates what you have as a country, as a continent. And it's Africa time to control its own media narrative.
Wow.
Susan, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Clyde. I mean, it couldn't be said even much better. Why we're saying this is because, yes, I think the
Hello,
diaspora
Susan.
has been a little bit
I hope
um
you guys could hear that. But yeah, so I'll just keep on going. So
no, we hear you, we hear
so
you.
so what
Sir
what has to
Clyde,
happen is this: we need
Sir
to
Clyde,
unify in each African country and say, what
hello.
are the resources? How do we build the next generation that has a
Okay.
mindset to manage the currency, to
All right.
manage the currency of the resources? I'm telling you, we
All
have
right.
to get to the young generation, the African young kids. They are a promising future for the continent of Africa. We must engage and get the young people involved in ways of development. Let me tell you something. When you're good in this world, when you're good, the world will find you. When you're good, when you own your narrative.
Hello. Yes, I think there's been a cross a technical issue over there, and yeah, I like as I was saying, it is okay. It is okay in the sense that the diaspora doesn't have a clear picture about what Africa is. So we're gonna take a look at a video that actually gives a true picture of what the cleanest city of Africa is today. We're gonna watch a video on Rwanda, which is the cleanest city in Africa, in the world, and the world. Why not today? So over to you.
in Central Africa and one of the smallest countries on the African mainland, has been making headlines lately for all the good reasons. The country is smashing all existing stereotypes about smaller African countries, countries without natural resources, and countries without coastlines. But one thing keeps standing out among all others, and it's Rwanda's cleanliness. This particular reason has attracted more tourists to Rwanda than even their gorillas. It turns out that all humans love cleanliness. Besides tourism, the cleanliness is also making Rwanda one of the top conference destinations, rivaling traditional conference capitals like Nairobi. At the end of this video, you'd have known how they do it and how they clean their city. If you want to clean a city, slums. In 2009, Kigali's leaders decided to start demolishing slums in the capital's poor suburbs, those with little access to piped water or electricity, and replace them with new roads and homes. Previous owners were given modest new homes on the outskirts of the city. Families got compensation of between $1,500 to $2,000 to help them settle in. The move was a first step in what turned into an ambitious master plan to clean up Kigali, one that has led to the city being hailed as one of the greenest and cleanest in Africa. Where do you go next? Transport. One focus was traffic congestion. To try to elevate it, the Rwandan government spent $76 million to pave narrow streets, widen all main roads to dual carriageways, and improve signs. It also upgraded bus service between the suburbs and the city center to encourage people to use public transport. Where do you go next? Umuganda. At 8 a.m. on a sunny morning in April, people are sweeping the hilly streets of Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, with straw brooms, picking up stray trash, bits of litter, and so on. The roads are empty of all cars, all vehicles. Shops are shuttered here across the country. This is Umuganda Day, a community cleanup held on the last Saturday of every month. It is one reason that Rwanda is renowned in Africa for its cleanliness. It is not a volunteer project. Police monitor the street and can stop Rwandans who aren't participating and make them clean up on the spot.
Okay, that is Rwanda, the cleanest city in Africa. And I think when we begin to promote images like this, like what you're saying, we're not going to have that issue of the kind of narratives. This is typically what we're talking about, branding Africa, because we've seen the narratives of Africa in the world is not only due to media propaganda that they show only the negative side of Africa, but even from Africans themselves. We have been taught to actually rebrand Africa with the interest of other people, like what River was saying, always showing this kind of children that flies are running in their face, or hungry people, or diseases. This has been the picture that the West has been promoting or had been showing its people, and it's not just just for the sake of communication, but also to promote this kind of a giver continent, like as if Africa needs only donation to be able to clean its cities. But now we're seeing the new narratives on the continent. We're seeing Africans that are taking responsibilities. We're seeing countries like Rwanda and other countries in Africa, which are becoming, like they said, Rwanda is becoming the Singapore of the world. Now, people, what does that mean to us? The diaspora should rebrand Africa. Africans should rebrand Africa. Now, I'm going to get back to you, go back to you, Sir Clyde. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I want to ask a question. You made a very pertinent remark on the need for these African institutions to be built, and not only built, but recognized. And like you said, I'm also in the diaspora. You are people of African descent, and we know these differences even in the American communities, where Americans also kind of face a kind of a challenge. These are original Africans on the continent. No, these ones are Black Americans. No, these ones are Hispanics or Caribbeans or stuff. Now, where do you think this kind of disconnection is coming from?
You know, I think it's coming from systems, because if a system can divide, it can conquer. And you have to, and Susan, the institutions mess with the mind. If it tells you you're a black American, that's an African, you're not. You look the same, but the mind has been told that you're something different. So this is why, Susan, I'm saying we have to own the institutions. We have to create and own the institutions. And this is exactly what I'm doing with our I Change Nations, with the culture of honor. We're saying no one tells our narrative. I tell our narrative. We tell our, and the world will listen, because there's the younger generation is tired of this. They're tired. And the kids are saying no more. So we have to control our narrative. And that's why I love your show so much, because you're allowing us to create a narrative.
Thank you. I'm going to go literally to Professor Akama from Nairobi. Professor, are you there? Yes, have you ever experienced what the world is going through now after the COVID or the pandemic? Yes, like in terms of the image, do you think that Africa's place is being reinstalled on the world platform?
Thank you for that good question. And I must say this, that I thank God for COVID-19. It has been a blessing to Africa, because every country in the world, they are on their own. The airspaces are closed. They are fighting the pandemic using their own resources. That one means that if we put our acts together, we can propel this continent into another level. So it is true, out of COVID-19, there are positive things that the continent of Africa have learned. Like now, we are united fighting this pandemic. So unity of purpose is very necessary. Putting our resources together, the African governments have reorganized their budget so that we are focusing towards this this pandemic, and this tempo should continue on after this COVID-19. And as Dr. Rivers has said, Africa is a great continent. Africa is rising, and out of this COVID-19, African, wherever they are staying in the world, they should know that Africa will not rise without them. We must come together. Let me just tell you this deliberate look at the map of Africa. When you are Europe, you are seeing Africa. When you are America, you are seeing Africa. When you are in Asia, you are seeing Africa. When you are in Australia, you are seeing Africa. When you are in Sweden, you are facing Africa. When you are Latin America, you are facing Africa. What does that mean? That solutions must come from Africa. Civilization began from Africa. You go to each countries like Sudan, go to countries like Egypt, see the pyramids, See the objector. So what Africa, what we need to do out of this COVID-19, we need to engineer ourselves. We need to reinvent ourselves, and we need to rebrand ourselves. And what I need to do here is, for heaven's sake, my fellow Africans, wherever you are, the black people, let us stop organizing and start organizing on how we are going to take this continent forward. How can Africa go wrong with our human source? Africa is the only continent with the young people. When you have got young people, you are assured that they can work. How can Africa go wrong when we have got natural resources? Everybody is coming to Africa to scramble for Africa to get resources. Look at the Chinese, look at the Americans, look at the Europeans. They are coming to Africa and we are running away from Africa. Look at the climate of Africa. We don't have winter. We have got all the climate from January to December, which is good, which we can produce food to feed the world. With our population, we can be able to have markets. Look at a small country in like Rwanda, the one we have shown us here. It is because they say that let us do right things. So my recommendation here is, Africa, let us practice democracy. See what happened to a country like Malawi. They did very credible elections. Let us respect human rights. Let us fight corruption. Let us fight nepotism and tribalism. Those are the things giving us shame. And in this 21st century, it's a century of innovation. Dr. Rivers has told you, when you go to the West, the best doctors you find are Africans. When you go to Europe, the best engineers you are finding are Africans. So I am recommending that let us not behave like professional mourners. What the professional mourners do, they mourn as if they are the bereaved persons. There is nobody who is going to build the continent of Africa. It is us. And I'm saying this, that we should start changing the strategy. How do we change our strategy? By starting doing the right things. By telling our young people, telling our children that you can succeed in Africa. And the people have succeeded in Africa. So COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to say that everybody, every country, be it America, be it Britain, be it wherever they are protecting their citizens. And even Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and any other country in Africa, they are doing it. So in Africa, everything is possible if we start doing the things the right way. Look at the climate of Africa. Look at the climate change. It is not originating from Africa. We have not destroyed the environment. So this is an opportunity. Let us pick this opportunity and run away with it. Thank you.
Yes, Professor. I don't know whether you watch the young man from Gambia the other day, Osman Touré, who actually lectured and pulled the whole world at its knees, and to say that I am not going to go on a scholarship to study anywhere out of Africa. I will study in Rwanda because I want to face the reality of my education. I want to get acquainted with the reality on the continent. And now we are seeing that a lot of young people are relocating for studies and also to seek greener pastures. And we know that you're also running a university in Uganda. Now, what should be the next narrative for young people? What is it that is necessary for young people to know the need to stay on the continent, the need to benefit from the continent? I mean, we're not saying that they cannot travel, but we're saying that they should not be as if they're running away. We heard also the young lady yesterday talking about issues that young girls are facing in these Arab countries because of search of greener pastures. We've seen a lot of lives lost at sea for young people leaving the continent. Now, and Osman was direct on the point to say it is time for us to change the educational curriculum. You, like a professor, what is your recommendation to that?
Very well. The answer is simple. Let us make the attraction here in Africa to stop the things which attracts African young people to go to the West or wherever in the world. What God tells us, what we have in our hands, and I've given this recommendation that Africa, we must address democracy. Democracy is an issue in Africa. In Africa, there is nepotism. In Africa, there is corruption. In Africa, there is misuse of the public resources. In Africa, there is no transparency. Let us remove these things, these factors. Let us try to be very transparent. Let us try to be accountable. And hear this, that allow the young people to be on the table where developmental issues they are being discussed. I recommend that the African people must be allowed to participate on the management and affairs of their respective countries. I'm saying that whatever is happening in Africa, let the African people be informed. Let them be aware. Whatever is happening in the continent of Africa, let the African people, be it women, children, young people, be involved. And I'm saying that let us also be at a consensus. Where do we need to take this continent? Which cannot be taken forward by our leaders. Our leaders have isolated the entire population. So I'm saying we must participate, we must be informed, we must be involved, we must be consulted, and we will reach a consensus and remove all the things which are attracting the African people, African young people to go to the West. Let us create employment. I have talked about innovation. The world is about innovation. Look about the M-Pesa. The M-Pesa was started in Africa, here in Kenya, the mobile banking. I want to quote the Bible. They were saying, can anything good come from Nazareth? Yes, something came from Nazareth. That is where the Savior, Jesus Christ, was born. Can something good come from Africa? Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, M-Pesa has been a very good innovation on the continent, and we actually would be following up that development of innovation and following even the initiator of that that wonderful innovation. Even though we're still looking forward for African countries to adopt the M-Pesa as also a money transfer method on the continent of Africa. And these are some of the innovations that Africans should actually promote, and also this intergovernment trade relationship. We don't understand why other systems of money transfer are still operating on the continent when we have M-Pesa, which is made in Africa by Africans for Africa. And so I appreciate that. And yes, the brain drain should stop. The brain gain should start. And the brain gain, we are talking about the diaspora. What is your opinion, your last opinion to the fact that the diaspora should connect to the continent, or why not come back and build Africa?
The stone which starts rolling continues to gather momentum. We will continue to talk. We will continue to appeal to African brothers and sisters wherever they are, that they should come back to Africa and build Africa. There is nobody who is going to build Africa. If we are assuming that there is someone who is going to build Africa, they are going to rape and steal and root our resources. This is the time for Africa. The Pan-African leaders of independence, they brought the independence for this country in this second liberation of Africa from mismanagement, from dictatorship, from not respecting the human rights, and by telling the world that we are there, we need to be given space, and the time has come now for an African people to be heard and not to be seen.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Thank you for that input. I think we all agree that it is time for Africa to rise, but we keep saying Africa should rise. And even in the times of Marcus Garvey, in the times of Kwame Nkrumah, it was the same narrative. Africa should rise. Africa is rising. And sometimes we begin to feel like 100 years ago, it was the same narrative. Africa is rising. Africa should unite. The same narrative. It becomes like a monotony. Isn't it time that we move forward to say, we are united? We have risen like before, but we should start doing things differently, because I think we keep saying the same thing that have been said 200 years ago. Africa is rising, Africa unite, Africa bad governance. These are things that have been said time and time, and even in time immemorial. Probably maybe we should start saying we have risen and now we just need to do things differently. What is your opinion on that?
Dr. Rivers did say that the young people, the young generation, I interact with the young people, I teach them what they tell me, that they are tired of hearing what you're actually telling me. They are saying the time for action is now, and the generation to take action, it is us, it is you. And what you are doing, we are taking actions. We are educating the rest of the masses. So the young people are the ones who are changing this, and they are saying they are tired of hearing this. They want action. And in terms of innovation, as you have said, you have seen, they are coming forward. And let us bring the young people into leadership so that we mentor them, so that they take off.
Thank you very much, Prof. Akama, and we're very grateful to have had you on the show. Now I'll go back to Sir Clyde Rivers, and we're going to deliberate. We're going to deliberate on the issue of these innovations and institutions on the continent. Sir Rivers?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, you talked about a very important aspect that I want us Africans to get it straight and clean. The attitude of us awarding and rebranding Africa by us, because everything starts by us. The picture of Africa today must change, and it has to start by us. Whatever things we're posting on the social media, whatever conversation should be only the positive about Africa. Now, when you talk about these institutions of rewarding or of compensating, what actually are you insinuating?
What I'm saying is there are many people on the continent of Africa that are doing great things that are helping build the continent, but it's not recognized. No one ever says, thank you for doing this. And if you don't have a culture of honor, people don't know what to look up to. Let me give you an example. For example, you are a woman icon. You have created your own institution, and you need to be acknowledged so that other girls on the continent of Africa say, it's possible. I can be like Susan Tata. And so if people like you are not recognized, no one knows who's doing good. Are you getting me? And this has to become a culture, because every country in Africa has heroes. Every country, and the whole continent is full of people that have done such great things. And I love what you were saying. It's Africa time. I've heard that like 20 years I've been coming there, and I'm going, when do we arrive, and what's the vehicle look like to take us to the next level? You know, and I truly believe it's a culture of honor that actually recognizes the African people, African culture. As an African American, as we started this culture of honor, people they didn't think it would work, but God is into honor. See, you are empowering people. You're this show is one of the only shows that brings Africans from all